There was no actual rebellion moment, no burning of the bridges, no, screw the rules kind of speech that I spoke out loud. It was quieter than that. I realized that I had been asking for permission, not externally, internally, feeling that I had to ask for permission to build the life that I wanted to build, that me being able to build something that looked acceptable to the outside world, hustling harder, working at a regular job, building something that really didn't speak to me. And I came to this realization over time. More recently, it hit me a little bit harder, but I caught myself saying things like, who would want what I have to offer? Who would want to hear what I have to say? Who would want to learn from my experiences? Who would want to understand that you don't have to live life the way that everybody else says that you have to live life? And I realized that the only one that's holding me back is me. And that really hurts because you'd like to think that you are your biggest cheerleader. I'd like to think that I am my biggest cheerleader, that I'm the one who's saying, yeah, you have the capability, you have the wherewithal, you're able to do these things, but I was asking for permission and not giving it to myself, coming up with excuses. I had to have posts in a particular way. I had to post 3, 4, 5 times a day. I had to say it in a softer, gentler way. And I don't I come to the point. I like to say what is important and not fluff around. Beating around the bush kind of thing. And I know that saying is kind of antiquated, and that's fine. Waiting until I was more qualified, until I knew more. And so I studied all the time. Here's the thing. I love to learn. That is one of my favorite things. And understanding as a projector, 5-1 projector, if you don't know anything about human design, that's fine. But understanding that part of my blueprint, part of my story is learning and then sharing what I learned, sharing that knowledge and understanding that I can say it in a way that sometimes may come across as slap in the face, but I think we need that, myself included. There are sometimes when yes, at the moment it may hurt. And at the moment we may cry and we may feel that we've been, you know, disrespected and whatever, but we need that truth. And so giving myself permission to be able to speak in a way that enables us, you and me, to understand that sometimes the soft, cuddly, coddling conversation is not the one that we need to be able to move us forward. So when I realized that I was holding myself back by not giving myself permission to actually do this the way that I really wanted to be able to do this in a way that feels good to me. It felt like I wasn't able to rock the boat, or I have to say this in a particular way so I don't confuse people, or so that people don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say. And I followed that herd mentality of posting in a particular way, saying these particular things. And everybody has great information, but it's how they've worked, how they have built their businesses, how they have created the life for themselves that they want. And it may be what they want. It's not what I want. So I had to understand that I had been editing myself by being less honest with you and less honest with myself, less honest with myself, less curious, because if I'm not curious and I'm not wondering why particular things are done in a way that everybody else has done this for forever, and I'm feeling that I need to do things the way everybody else has and not giving myself permission to step outside of the box, I'm withholding the best part of me. I am open to all sides of the story, whatever story that may be. You're a single mom who's been working hard to raise your kids and give them a life that you wanted for yourself and never received. And now you're stuck trying to figure out what it is that you want to do with your life because your kids are grown and moved out. Or you're 50 or 60 and you've gotten divorced and your husband made the majority of the income and now you're trying to figure out what it is that you can do to survive. And we've pulled back on exposing that as older women, we have the capabilities. We have amazing experiences that have enabled us to get us where we are. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are. But we are holding ourselves back because we feel like we need to ask for permission to be able to speak out and say the things that we want to say, whether it's permission from somebody else or, like in my case, permission from myself to honestly speak out and say the things that I want to say. There are a lot of things that I want to be able to express and be able to share. And there are a lot of times when I'm like, well, who wants to hear this? Who wants to know the things that I know? Who wants to be able to understand themselves better? Maybe you're happy with where you are. Maybe the position that you're in is comfortable, may not be the greatest, but it's comfortable, and you don't want to change that. That's fine. That's great. But I'm not here for that. I'm here for the women who are ready to change their shit in their lives and do the things that they need to do to move forward. And when I realize this, and I realize that I'm one of those women who wants to move forward, then I opened myself up to the ability and to the permission that I gave myself to be able to change things up. And here's what I understood is permission is an outsourced authority where it's waiting for validation, it's waiting for engagement, it's waiting for that invitation to feel official and feel like I am enough, but it's outside validation. And that does not come from outside of you. That comes from inside of you. That comes from knowing that, yes, I am worthy of creating my own life and creating a business that I'm happy about, creating an environment around me that feels safe and is prosperous for me. If you're not doing these things, the cost of you waiting is you delay your life. You delay the possibility of the things that you could have and be and do in your world. For me, this is where discovering that I'm a projector really changed everything for me. And I mentioned this a little earlier as a 5-1 projector. And again, if you don't know anything about human design, there are tons of videos about it. You can Google it. I am learning about this. I've been doing this, playing with this experiment for about a year now, and have realized that I misunderstood initially what waiting for the invitation is. And I feel like most projectors, when they first find out that they're projectors and they have to wait for the invitation, they hear that waiting for the invitation and they're like, I have to wait to do anything in my life. That means I have to sit on my ass on the, no, no, no. And I didn't necessarily feel like that, but I thought, wow, I need to, for me to be able to really progress in the world and to be able to do the things that I want to do, I have to wait for someone to ask me to do those things. And it's mainly for big things. It's like for moving or for, you know, getting into a relationship, which is hilarious. If Roy's going to watch this and be like, yeah, uh-huh. You didn't wait for the invitation. I did. Allie invited me, just so you know. I love you, Allie. um, but initially, because of the way that I had been raised, I felt like I had to be quiet. I had to kind of sit back and not say anything and just kind of not be hidden, but just not. be myself because I had been working as a generator, someone who has consistent energy for so long. Realizing that I was a projector, I realized that I don't work like most of the most of society out there. The generator and manifesting generator type are the majority of the population. And most people who are that type have consistent energy. And so they can work and work and work. Now I can take that energy and I can borrow that energy and I can amplify it and I can work just as hard as someone who has that consistent energy. But because I don't have that consistent energy, I get worn out. So when I try to post and I try to build a business like everybody else is telling me I need to build a business by doing all of this work and hustling and posting 3 or 4 times a day and creating tons of content and making sure that I have tons of stuff out there and that I'm reaching out to people and that I'm doing all of these things, that is not how I am designed to work. And it really blew my mind when I discovered this and I understood that again, giving myself permission to not work the way that everybody else works. It doesn't mean that I do nothing. I just need to be okay with understanding that the way that I work is different than the way that Roy works. And is different the way that a lot of the people that a lot of my mentors work and the people that I follow and on social media or whatever, YouTube that I gain a lot of my insights from. I don't work the same way they do. So I tried to push and I tried to create a business the way that they suggested would be the best way to build a business. And it's not sustainable for me. First, because it's not something that I love. If I were doing something that I love, which is creating videos or creating content on my pace or creating artwork, I can get into a flow and I can work 3, 4, 5 hours. And then I have to go to sleep and get my rest. Because I'm doing something that I love, I can sustain that energy for a little bit longer. Giving ourselves permission to work in a way that is best for us is the ability to give yourself permission to say, you know what? I don't work like others. I can create the way that I feel is most comfortable for me. And I can explore things. I can, test different ideas and speak my truth in a way that is most comfortable for me. And it doesn't mean that it has to be like everybody else. So for me, understanding and giving myself permission to understand that invitations don't come from silence. They don't come from me not doing anything. They come from me posting videos like this and explaining to you what it is that I offer, that, one-on-one services for women who want to change their lives or, you know, a human design reading or, chat GPT prompts that I sell or whatever it is that I do that I offer to the world. My school community, these different things that I offer, I've not been doing that because I felt like I needed to have permission to be able to share that once I got to a certain point. Once I had a bigger community, once I had more subscribers, once I had whatever it was, I was putting these limitations on myself and holding back on giving myself permission to be able to move forward in a really big way. One of the biggest lies that I was telling myself was that nobody wants to hear this. I felt like, okay, because my community on school is 30 some people and my YouTube channel is 70 some people, that I'm not getting the response that I need to be able to grow. That nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody wants to be, you know, helped by me. No one wants my information, my resources, my experiences shared, none of that. But here's the reality is that somebody does need my experience and my perspective. Somebody is a few steps behind me and needs that help, whether it's just watching the video and knowing that it's okay that you could get up here and fuck up and it doesn't matter. My videos are not the greatest. I don't have all the editing, swipe in and swipe out and, all the text all over it, all that kind of stuff. I may get to the point where I have somebody else editing my videos and they add that stuff. But right now, it's too much for me. It's enough for me to be able to get the videos out. Now, I am comfortable on video because I've been doing this for a fucking long time. I was on Periscope for a long time and creating art and creating videos, and those I I tried to share some of those videos, and sorry, there's birds flying around here. I realized that the image quality on those videos was just atrocious. They were so bad. But my point is that if you don't start and you don't at least give yourself permission to step outside of your comfort zone and reach out, say, yeah, I really do need some help. I'm ready to change the things that I'm doing. Or I'm ready to start sharing what I know. And I'm ready to start, even if it's one or two people, or, I have a friend who started a video series on A Course in Miracles. And she's fantastic. She's just absolutely wonderful. She's just starting out, so she doesn't have a lot of views on her videos, but that doesn't mean she's stopping. She's continuing, because there's going to come a day when you have those views, when you have the people who are reaching out to you. Now, for me, it's hard because I'm like, I've been doing this forever and I feel like I haven't gotten anywhere. Well, I've constantly been all over the place. So if somebody doesn't know what it is that I offer because I'm not clear on it, that's another video we're going to talk about. That's on me. And that's because I've not been giving myself permission to be clear on what it is that I share and what it is that I do. I get on here and I talk about the things that I feel I need to speak about in that moment. And it may not always be the same, you know, topic. It may not always be the same way that it's presented. I don't know. Sometimes I do things and it's like I don't even understand why I'm doing them. But I want you to understand that it's okay for you to, you know that what you share is important. Somebody out there needs to hear it, even if it's just one person. And it may be a while where that one person is the only person who follows you and the only person who takes in and consumes your content. But let me be clear and let me help you understand this. And believe me when I say I am saying this for myself as much for you. There will come a time when that one person becomes 10 people. When that one person becomes 100, 1,000, 100,000. And if you stop and you hold yourself back because you're not giving yourself permission to try and to make mistakes and just really fuck things up, because you're going to have videos where you're like, oh my God, that's horrific. And still put it out there and still share what you want to share or build what you want to build. If you're not doing that, then you're going to live a life that doesn't satisfy you, that doesn't expand you, that doesn't expand your horizons. And we need to see you. We do. We need to know who you are and what your experiences are. Every single one of us, every single one of us has something to share with the world, some unique perspective or some talent, or even if it's something that you do that's silly that somebody else is like, why would anybody want to know that? There's somebody out there that wants to know it. There are videos out there teaching you how to do the craziest things, and people are watching it because it's something that matters to them. So when you stop asking, is this something that people want? When you stop asking, is anybody going to watch this? And you start asking, does this feel true to me? Is this something that I feel needs to be shared with the world? Or asking, what is it that I want to put out there? And just, even if you're talking to yourself, it's fine. But that perspective, that understanding that, is this something that feels true to me? It changes everything, because you're giving yourself permission to move in a direction that's going to make you so happy. So happy. When I understood this, I understood that I don't need to follow the trends that everybody else is doing, especially trends that I don't believe in. I am not a get up and dance and do the silly things kind of person. That is just not who I am. I am silly and I am a goofball, but that's Honestly, it's mainly when I'm around people that I'm really, really comfortable around. Like, I can be a goofball in front of Roy. He doesn't judge me, and I don't judge myself when I do that. I'm just not that type of person. It's just not who I am. So using language that just feels hollow because I'm speaking what somebody else is suggesting that I speak about. I, I'm not here to I will talk about business and I will talk about finances and I will talk about different topics, but I am not going to talk about those and create my whole YouTube around those because those are not things that make me passionate. I am not passionate about finances and building huge businesses. That is not me. But there are people out there who that is their thing and they are brilliant at it. There are videos on journaling and I love journaling, but I can't spend hours upon hours talking about journaling. It's not something that lights me up that much. So whatever it is, and I love all these different things. So my YouTube channel is all kind of all over the place, but at the core, I have a topic, and my topic is helping women to realize they can be more than they thought they could be. Reinventing themselves. That is what I am passionate about because I've reinvented myself so many times. And even though I know who I am at the core and I know what I stand for, doesn't mean that it's locked in stone and that I can't shift and I can't change. I love learning new things and learning and changing the way that I do things. So packaging myself in that small sameness that everybody else is doing is just not for me. I'm somebody who wants to speak about different things. And so when I'm focused on just one single solitary thing, I'm not going to speak truth because it doesn't come out of me in that way. Here's that line in the sand. You can keep asking yourself, is this acceptable? Is this allowed? Will it be approved? Will my family care? Will, my family be okay with this? Will my friends be okay with this? Will they support me? That's outside validation. You don't need permission to be able to do the things that you want to do. You need to understand that I can decide and give myself permission to live and to create and to speak as myself. And someone out there will hear and feel the words that I am speaking because they're coming from the truth of who you are, not some hollow, half felt conversation because somebody else said this is what you need to talk about. And the thing is that you don't need to be louder. You don't need to, try harder. You just need to speak truer. Speak your truth. Speak who you are and how you feel about particular things. Now, here's the thing. There are a lot of people out there who are speaking and sharing their opinions and demanding that the rest of the world believe in and follow those opinions. And that's not me. I want you to understand that I may share my opinion and I may share my thoughts and my discoveries and my experiences and different things that I've been through and suggestions of things that you could do or you could try or whatever. I am not telling you that is what you have to do. I want you to start thinking for yourself. Start being critical about the things that you believe and things that you hear. And start deciding for yourself, are those things that are true to who you are at the core? Because I may say, try this particular thing, step outside the box and get onto YouTube and start sharing your story and start telling people who you are and start sharing the different things that you've learned in your life. But that may not be what you want to do. That may not be the path that you want to take. Start selling affiliate programs, start, you know, selling digital products, start selling physical products. I tried all of those things and they were not the things that I want to do. Now, do I have, here's the thing, is I have digital products. I have physical products. I have sweatshirts and t-shirts and Oracle cards, and I have a book, and I have all of these things that I've created. And to be honest, I love them all because I created them. They're all my little babies, but I don't share them as much as I probably should because they don't light me up in the same way. So I'm working on creating a space where I can share those things. So if anybody wants to be able to, see the things and buy the things that I've created, great. That said, I don't focus on them because they don't light me up as well as some other things do. Working with women, being able to help them to come out of their shells, encouraging them to find the truth within themselves and becoming more of who they're meant to be. That is what is passion. That's my passion. That is what lights me up. So when I stopped needing permission, I became fearless in being able to understand that this is mine. This is my life for me to author, for me to decide the way that I want to write this story. And that's another thing that's so amazing with human design for me is understanding where I struggle how to rewrite the story so that it's more in line with how I want to live my life. I have that ability. And I have a blueprint of an outline that I can start with that gives me something to move forward. It has made such an amazing change in my life. I can't even describe how much it is, but I want you to understand that when I realized that I don't have to wait for invitations for me to be able to move forward, for me to be able to create, for me to be able to share. And I realized that I can speak honestly without consensus. And I realized that I can work differently without apologizing. Giving myself permission to work in a way that's best for me has shifted everything about the way that I build business. And I'm in a tough time right now with my business. And I'll talk about that later, but I want you to understand that regardless of where you are in your life, you need to give yourself permission, not wait for outside permission. Give yourself permission to start doing the things that you want to do. Start living the life that you want to live because you're the only one who can do it.